Despite the occasional animal attack, the cast and crew felt pleased with themselves as they headed off on their Christmas break. They'd shot 6 episodes, the scripts were fantastic, and it looked like they had a Sunday night classic in the making. It seemed as if nothing could go wrong.
We had a fortnight's break, and towards the end of the fortnight, I stupidly stepped in front of...
I remember his accident, Christopher's accident, vividly. Of course, it was a ghastly shock, and one thought, well, that's the end of that. We shan't be going on.
The producer's first directive from the hierarchy was tragic news about Christopher, glad he's okay, send his wife some flowers and recast.
As Christopher Timothy lay in his hospital bed, the BBC considered all the options.
One of the plans they came up with was to make me James Herriot and then recast Tristan.
And I said, I'm not doing that. That's an enormous waste. We'll find some way around it. So we took the rest of the series apart, scene by scene, and all the scenes that Christopher Timothy was involved in, I extracted and took them down to the hospital, threw them on the hospital bed and said, learn those.
Christopher Timothy could hardly stand up, but was determined not to lose the part of a lifetime, and his co-stars were determined to give him a chance.
I was plated and screwed instead of plastered, and I was back at work in 9 weeks.
Ah, James. How went the day?
Oh, pretty easily. Which is insane, really, in retrospect. I could barely walk. I was terrified. I'd lost a lot of weight, and everybody worked round me.
Me? Nothing.
With the transmission deadline approaching, scripts and direction were quickly rewritten or improvised.
They'd prop him up against a kind of a surgery table, and then he'd start having a conversation with me, and then at some point in the scene, I would have to move my eyes slowly across the room while 2 people would come in and literally carry him across to the next position.
Filming was completed days before transmission. The series made its debut on 8th of January 1978 and was an immediate hit. And the producer's faith in Christopher Timothy paid off as he made a fantastic James Herriot.
We were very fortunate in having 3 absolutely fantastic characters, and yet the bedrock really was the performance of Christopher Timothy. He was the man who was going to be fairly mundane, thoughtful, principled, and around him were spinning these 2 scintillating objects.
You asked me to arbitrate, and arbitrate I did.
Sheer treachery, James.
I don't know what you're so upset about. It was my night off, you know.
Well, duty calls. Anything I should add to my list, Sigrid?
Castration.
Pardon?
Rory Hagan's little pigs, they need castrating.
So did a few others I could mention.
Will you kindly remember your table?
Nobody else could have got the movement that Robert Harley got into Siegfried Farnen. There is at no stage is Siegfried Farnen still.
Oh, disgusting mess! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it!
And it's actually quite tiring to watch, but you can't stop watching them.
What are you looking for?
Stethoscope. What do you think I'm looking for?
Try under your coat.
Which coat?
The coat you have on.
Tristan Farnen is supposed to be the punk-ass kid of the surgery.
Good morning. What you want there, huh?
But this being, you know, pre-war Britain, that translates as being a bit of a work-shy fop. He lies in bed in the morning. Dear God.
Oh, morning, Sigrid. Any idea what time of day it is?
Time?
Yes, time. From the Latin tempus fugit.
Yes, I do understand, actually.
Well, would you kindly answer the question?
And a touch of romantic interest was provided by the only major female role, the almost perfect Helen Herriot.
James, I'm trying to concentrate.
Yeah, so am I.
I used to get all these letters, people asking me to marry them. And in fact, they weren't asking me to marry them at all. They were asking Helen to marry them, because Helen is so idealised. She's the perfect, come into my arms, darling, I will make the whole world right for you.
Perhaps we ought to go home.
The combination of 3 vets, a hint of romance, saving animals and stunning countryside proved to be perfect Sunday evening family entertainment.
At the end of the weekend, you don't want anything too taxing. You want some kind of escapist, gentle, heartwarming, cosy kind of drama. You know, it's cup of cocoa drama. It's warm and simple and nice and lovely, and it's not going to frighten the horses.
It hit the right moment. There was a feeling still in the towns that the country was a glorious place and inhabited by amazing people.
Look out!
Aren't they weird and goodness?
It's the perfect post-dinner, pre-bath time slot. You're going to be hanging about either in the living room trying to avoid dishes or waiting to have a bath. I don't know if anybody outside Yorkshire actually circled it in the Radio Times and said, that's what I'm going to watch. It was like a pit covered with branches. You just fell into it.
Here? I'm sorry, young man. I ought to have told you. This is a very friendly cow, and she always likes to shake hands.
The BBC immediately commissioned another series and the cast became overnight stars.
This summer, inside the King's Head Hotel in Richmond, they're filming another special for Christmas.
In fact, by the time they were filming the 3rd series, the problem was they were too popular.
Some enterprising chap on the crew, we never found out who, sold our schedule to a local bus company who were doing tours and watch us filming. And you would arrive on a location which you thought nobody knew about, and there's a 32-seater coach sitting there.
Things a little bit the same, you know.
They're all between us.
But fame also had its downside for the cast when the newspapers discovered that Christopher Timothy and Carol Drinkwater's love affair continued after the cameras had stopped rolling.
Chris had come out of a marriage that had been a while split up, so all that business about me being a marriage breaker was absolute nonsense. I was in a relationship that split up while I was filming, and people knew how upset I was. I was grieving a little bit for the end of this relationship.
We are romantic this morning.
Well, it's not every morning I wake to find a new wife in my bed, is it?
I hope not.
I remember Carol saying that what happened was that Chris and I came together at a time when we both needed that. And I think that's probably the best way that it's ever been put.
Well, we'd be hard pushed to find times to ourselves, you know.
I'm a vet's wife now. I knew what I was letting myself in for.
It seemed like the whole world was talking about us, so where do you turn to, the other person who's involved in this?
But unlike Helen and James, it was a relationship that didn't end at the altar.
Nothing at all.
No regrets. I just wish that I had handled it more wisely.
I think we played perfectly the couple who were harmoniously together, but we weren't. We were very different in private life. And anyway, that's enough of it.